My teaching philosophy is based on creating a welcoming, caring, and safe learning environment for my students. I also wanted to have meaningful and accessible lessons, assignments, and activities for all of my students, and for all of them to have the means and resources appropriate for them to be able to actively participate and engage in classroom discussion and assignments. I want my students to use their imagination, ask questions, explore, and teach me. Another thing that I had mentioned in my philosophy was that I don't want it to be just my classroom, but I want it to be our classroom. And I said how I want students to know that I am not the only educator in the room and that they are educating me on a daily basis. So I found that throughout my practicum, the one thing that I found to satisfy all of those qualities that I wanted throughout my teaching philosophy was the bookshelf. Having a vibrant bookshelf with many different genres, interests, and subjects in your classroom, I find is essential. Books are such a powerful tool for learning, and the child reading doesn't even have to know that they are actually learning from that book. And qualities of a good friendship or being friends with your neighbor, to learning about gardening in your backyard and helping your parents with activities around the house, or even learning about forests in the Amazon. And there's just so many different types of way for children to learn while reading. Throughout my practicum, I realized how important it was to read every day and how much students really did learn from reading. Every day in my classroom after lunch, we had silent reading for 20 minutes, and the students loved it. They were able to pick different books that they liked, or they read over books that they had already read because they just really enjoyed them. A couple of times after silent reading, I had a few students who would come up to me and would share with me, Miss J, look what we read in this book. And the best part was when it had something to do related to the science lesson that I had taught them earlier that morning. So it was really important for me that students were able to learn all of this from reading and making connections with the things that they were learning in class before lunchtime, and they were able to clue it back in with something that they wanted to read during silent reading. And the fact that they were also picking books that had something to do with the lesson that we were doing was awesome. In terms of creating an environment that is safe for everyone, and I would like everyone to feel comfortable in and have their own space if ever needed, that was really relevant to me on my practicum, as I had one boy who had ADHD, and there was just a moment where he told me that all he wanted to do was just sit down and read with me, and it was what helped him. And that's when I realized while I was sitting with him and reading with him when he was really calming down, and it was just a great thing to offer kids just a moment to themselves and just say, hey, do you want to go read in the corner? So I think it's also really important to have a corner with a comfy corner with a couple of pillows and couches where kids can just go relax, read, let their imagination grow, let them learn something new. Relating to classroom material and lectures that we have been to, I think the one that resonated most with me was the one on racism and how to deal with it effectively in a classroom. I thought that books would be an amazing way to create awareness within children. Very important to have different types of books on different holidays and religions, ethnicities, places around the world, just because we live in such a diverse culture and children are so open to learning about it, and there are so many fun books. It's a powerful tool of creating attention in your children and showing them all the different things that are in our world, just so that they're aware and not stunned when they're in a certain situation where they're dealing with other races. Really great lecture that we had, and I really thought that books are just an awesome way for kids to realize all the different things out there and all the different celebrations, and that some people have different beliefs in it. So overall, I really enjoyed the bookshelf in the classroom in my practicum, and I just realized how amazing it is to have one in a classroom, and there's just so many different lessons embedded within that bookshelf, and it's so easy to get a bookshelf as well. There's so many different parts of it, so many different lessons. The kids can have their imagination explore, they can find books where they find themselves self of comfort, they can learn about different ethnicities, they can learn about different forests in the world, and I really enjoyed it, and I really related this to my teaching philosophy because it will allow children to do everything that I would want them to do throughout my teaching.